Hey y'all, it's Raya Monet. Welcome back to another video with your girl. Let's get into it. I have lived in poverty for majority of my life, which was actually for 23 years, and I am only 27 years old. I am the oldest of 6 kids, and me and my family have lived in multiple low-income neighborhoods, which I am extremely grateful for. Like, I'm extremely grateful that we were able to have a roof over our heads and that we were able to have things that we needed, even though things were sometimes hard and things were not always the best. I'm forever grateful that we had a roof over our head. I'll never be ashamed of where I come from because it was a part of my testimony, it was a part of my journey, and it was obviously a part of God's plan, which is why I am able to even sit here and tell this story today. So after living in poverty with my family for such a long time, once I turned 18 years old, one of my relatives actually helped me apply for the Section 8 program. And when I applied for that, I got approved when I was 20 years old, which to this day, I am very grateful to God. I'm grateful to her, and I'm grateful for that program because it allowed me to get out of a toxic and an unloving environment. Before I had even applied for the Section 8 program, me and one of my old friends had plans on roommating, but it didn't really work out. So I was just like, okay, bet. I'm gonna just, work on getting my own apartment, and that's just gonna be what it is. And then this Section 8 came through, I got approved, and I was still able to get my first apartment like I had planned to do. God worked everything out for me like he has always been doing in my life. He has always been working things out for me. He has always been pushing me forward and allowing me to grow. So I am very grateful to God. So at this time, I'm 20 years old, and even though my apartment was a Section 8 apartment, it was a really nice apartment. It was newly built. I was the first person to move in, and God was really showing out and doing his big one because I was even able to fully furnish my apartment literally the same day I moved in. And when I look back at how everything worked out, I'm always just truly amazed because I love to look back and reflect on my past and see how God worked things out in my life, to see how things worked out and to see why things worked out. I feel like that's very crucial when you come from a background of poverty and you manage to gain more for yourself. Of course, you always want to keep elevating, you always want more, you always want to keep reaching for that better life. So it's always good to just kind of, sit back sometimes and look at how good things were for you and how good things may have worked out, even while still living in poverty. There's a lot of things that I can look back on and I can say like, wow, God really did that. Like, wow, this worked out for me. So after being born into poverty and that pretty much being all that I knew of in my life, I pretty much got to a point where I felt like I just didn't want to repeat that cycle. So I only lived in my Section 8 apartment for 3 years because I felt like I could live without it. And I also wanted more for myself. I wanted to be able to make more money. And of course, if you're making a certain amount of money, Section 8 not paying for your rent anyways. So it's kind of even pointless to even be on it if you're making more money than what you even qualify for Section 8 for. Because even when I first moved into my apartment, I was already making like $15. No, I was making $12 an hour. My rent for my first apartment, the base rent was $700. I think it was like $765. I don't know. It was around like $700. Section 8 was only paying about 150 of those dollars, and I was paying $600 a month. So I felt like I could live without it. I just didn't want to be one of those people that were content. You only get one life to live. You literally only get one life to live. Why not try to at least live it to the best of your ability? So that's what I wanted to do for myself. I wanted to make more money. I didn't even contact Section 8 at all to let them know that I was no longer going to be on the program. So I really don't even know how that process even goes. I just told my apartment complex that I wasn't renewing my lease, and I went and I applied for another complex, which was off of Section 8. Like, I did it all on my own, but shout out to me. Shout out to me for believing in myself, and shout out to God for even allowing it to be possible, because we did it. We did it. Another thing with the Section 8 program is that it allowed me to be too comfortable. So when I became pregnant, I had quit my job. And of course, when you on Section 8, they paying that rent. So, you know, my rent was free. My rent was free at the time, but I just didn't want to live that way. Yes, it sounds good. It sounds like a great benefit, but where's your money coming from? How you about to sit here and take care of this baby? How are you about to provide for you and your baby? Your baby's gonna need clothes. Your baby's gonna need diapers, wipes, milk, all of that stuff. So I decided that I did not want to live that way. I wanted to be able to make my own money and also provide for me and my daughter to the best of my ability. My daughter was gonna be well taken care of. It just popped in my head one day to where I was just like, you know what? I don't wanna be on Section 8 anymore. I feel like I can pay rent all by myself. I'm technically already doing it because they're not really paying nothing. They was only paying like $150 minus the times where when I wasn't working, of course my rent was free, but who wants to just be out of work for long periods of time? You're rent free. Yeah, okay, cool. But where your money coming from? How are you providing and supporting yourself if you're just living rent free? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. Like, it was a pro and a con, because yeah, you living rent free, but also how are you providing for yourself? So I wanted to be able to provide more for myself, and that's what I did. I really don't even know how long in their system I was technically still on the program, because I never said anything to them at all. I just told my apartment complex that I wasn't going to be renewing when they sent me the lease renewal, and I got my ass up out of there. After I had officially gotten myself out of the poverty environment, when I say God provided in ways to where I still don't even know how it happened, all I can say is God did it, because I lived in my second apartment for 3.5 years. There was even a point of time, well, no, actually, when I first moved in that apartment, I literally got fired from my job weeks before it was time to move in that apartment. So of course, I'm just like, dang, I'm sitting here believing in myself, thinking that, you know, I can live off Section 8 and I'm about to be paying my rent fully by myself, and I get fired from my job. It's crazy, but I did not allow that to let me backtrack. I didn't allow that to let me stay in that cycle of being in poverty and living on Section 8 or living on government assistance. I did not allow that to keep me stuck, because I could have said, you know what, I'm gonna just stay here. Section 8 gonna be paying my rent. I'm not gonna have to worry about nothing. But no, I kept going. And luckily around that time, it was tax season. So I used all of my tax money to pay my bills until I found another job. I ended up not working longer than I even had enough tax money for. So that's why I say that it was nothing but God, because I still do not understand how it worked out for me. At the time, I went from paying $600 to paying $1,200 on my own. And there was a period of time where I did not have no job, but God provided and he carried me the whole way. And that's all I got to say, was that he carried me. And when the time came for me to get another job, it was making more money than what the last job had made. Like, that was always my goal. I always wanted to be able to make more money. I always wanted to continue to gain more income so that I never had to go back. Now, currently, in 2025, I live in my dream apartment, in my dream city, and I make the amount of money at my job that I prayed to make. Like, before I moved to this city, I prayed and I told God, like, in order for me to afford to live in that place, I need to at least make this amount of money. Like, this is the minimum. I need to at least make this. And guess what? God made it happen. God made it happen. Oh my God. God made it happen. I have been living out of my hometown for 5 months now. And I have been at my job, what was it, October, November, December. This month is gonna make 3 months since I've been at my job. So yeah, like, That's why I say, like, God provides and he will carry you. Like, if it is meant for you to go somewhere, if it's meant for you to grow, if you desire to have more for yourself, if you desire to get out of the hood and out of those projects and out of that poverty environment, if that is a desire, I promise you it was not placed there on your own. God placed that there in your heart because he knows that that is what he has destined for you. You just have to go after it. You just have to believe in yourself enough to go after it. You have to make the moves and you have to meet God halfway. That is all that I have been doing since I have gotten myself out of poverty in that environment. Is I have been meeting God halfway. There was times where I didn't even have to really do much work. I just had to wake up and God was taking care of me. He was providing for me and he was carrying me on the days where I was my weakest and I was my lowest. God was still taking me higher. Don't ever be afraid. Do not ever, ever, ever be afraid to step off of poverty when you know that that is what you really want and that is what you desire to do. Do not ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to leave that apartment. Don't ever be afraid to leave that neighborhood. If it's meant for you, if you desire it, you can do it and it's gonna happen. I can promise you it's gonna happen. I can promise you it's gonna happen. If I would have allowed that situation to where when literally the same, within a few weeks, I'm about to move into my new place, which is off Section 8. If I would have allowed that situation to where my job fired me to keep me stuck and to hold me back, there's no telling. I probably would still be on Section 8 to this day. I probably would still be on Section 8 to this day, but I chose to keep moving forward. And I'm now on my second apartment. Okay? My second apartment, and I just keep going higher. I keep going higher. My first apartment was just a regular apartment, but I was paying the rent fully because I believed that I could do that and that's what I wanted to do. But now my third apartment is my dream apartment. I dreamed of living in this luxury apartment. I dreamed of having this space. I dreamed of sitting here recording videos at my vanity. My phone is sitting on my vanity set right now. A vanity set that I have been dreaming of having since I was 18, 19 years old. I am 27 years old. God will give you the desires of your heart. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You just have to put in the work. You just have to keep taking those steps and putting one foot in front of the other. Don't go backwards. Don't allow that one foot to get scared and to start putting it behind the other foot. No. Pick that foot up and keep it going. Keep it moving. Because I promise you, life gets so much better once you are out of that poverty environment. Life is so much better. The clouds are not dark. The clouds are light. Life is peaceful. Life is good. Things are good when you are out of that environment. No one should have to struggle their whole life. Unless you're just comfortable and content for other reasons, okay, that's cool. But I just believe that nobody in this world, even in other countries and other cities, nobody should have to struggle. I truly believe that everybody should have the opportunity to live a good life. That's just all I'm saying. We ain't got to be the richest in the world. We ain't got to be the billionaires and the millionaires. But we at least should be able to live a good life. That's it. And I wish that for everybody. I wish that for everybody. I wish that for anybody. For anybody watching this video, even if it's just one person. I wish that for you. I wish for you and I pray for you to have a good life. The life that you deeply desire in your heart to have. The life that you constantly think about in your mind, I pray you get that. I pray you get that. So just to be real, raw, and to be my true self, even though I am out of the poverty environment, I still sometimes struggle with having the poverty mindset. Because I was born into poverty and my life was surrounded by poverty for so much of it, as I stated, 23 years, I sometimes think that my life is going to be filled with struggle forever. Even though I'm in my dream apartment, even though I'm at a job that I wanted to work at, for some reason my mind fights against me so much and makes me believe that I'm always going to struggle, live paycheck to paycheck. Like, it fights against me so much. Like, even though I have came so far, my mind still fights against me so much. But even though that is the case, I'm still not going backwards. The life that I'm creating for myself now requires me to be wealthy. And that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm chasing after now. Like, I may be out of the poverty environment, but I'm still chasing wealth. Like, you know, it's levels. You just can't jump from one place to another. It's levels. So we out of the poverty environment. We in a new space. We in a whole new city, actually. And the next step is chasing wealth. That's what we're going after next. I'm not going to allow my poverty mindset and my way of thinking that, oh, you're going to struggle forever. I'm not going to allow that to keep me stuck and to make me feel like, okay, you know, yeah, you're right. I'm going to be struggling forever. I'm just going to, you know, sit here. No, I'm going to keep chasing after the life that I want. I'm going to keep chasing after the amount of money and the wealth that I want. Because we have the opportunity to do that. That's obviously a desire that I didn't place on my heart by myself. God must have placed that desire there, because it won't go away. It won't go away. I'm still working on unlearning a lot of things from my poverty upbringing, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get past it. If I've gotten this far, I can continue to go farther, and I can continue to go higher, and God going to continue to keep providing, and he's going to continue to keep carrying me, because he's been doing that this whole entire time. I just got to keep meeting him halfway. And that's exactly what I'm going to keep doing. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Right now, as I'm making this video, I am meeting God halfway, because I know what God put on my heart to do. I know the desire that he put on my heart to do, and that's what I'm doing. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, if you resonated with this video, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me a little bit about yourself. If you're somebody that struggles with poverty, or you were born into poverty, tell me a little bit about your upbringing. Like, I want to hear it. I want to hear stories. I want to hear testimonies. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. So leave some comments down below. If you would like to stay longer, of course, subscribe. And, you know, let's continue on this journey together, because that's what I'm here for. Bye, y'all.